What are you trying to make, in particular, work with the administration at the moment? I know the focus is childcare. What do you provide at the moment over at Chobani?
Yeah, when we got the call, we really celebrated because this is something that we have seen very, very clearly is missing in corporate America when it comes to childcare, parental leave, and all the issues surrounding it. So it is something that we are extremely passionate about. We started having this conversation in 2006, 2007, from my own experience of having my first son and understanding that we have no parental leave policy, and then digging in even deeper and finding out in the manufacturing world in this country, sadly, over 95% there is no policy when it comes to parental leave. And that leads into a lot of big other issues when it comes to childcare. But this topic of taking this childcare and parental leave in a serious level is something we celebrate, and we are so late.
Hamdi, can you talk a little bit about the manufacturing side? Because for those of us in white-collar industries, childcare, at least for most of us, is a bit of a luxury that we all have. On the manufacturing side, it's something that is relatively rare, and some of that just has to do with the physicality of these jobs and where they're located. Yeah. I'm wondering, what's the solution there? Is this on-site care? Is this something that the government funds? How do you address that issue?
From what I know, when a child comes to a home, whether from adoption, natural birth, or even a foster child come to home, those parents need to have time off from work so they can care for their children, for the health of their families. In our case, all dads and moms are getting 6 weeks paid, 100% paid parental leave, and that does not exist right now in a manufacturing world, in a large scale. Above that, during the pandemic, Romain, we have seen that the schools were actually a place where children can have their children to be cared so they can go to work. But when the schools got closed, those children had no place to go. So that was a choice between the parents making between work and caring for their children. So we immediately come up with a solution offering childcare for parents so they can come to the work. And in a greater landscape, what I think is having a national policy, because this changes from state to state, including between New York and Idaho, we see it. Having a national policy when it comes to parental leave and child care is a must. And if companies that want to do above and beyond, that's beautiful. But what is the minimum where we can meet is something that all spectrum, whether Republican, Democrat, rural, I think it's one topic that we can all agree that we should care for our children.
I want to switch gears just a little bit. Talk to us as we're talking about COVID-19 and the struggles that everyone has had. Talk to us about your individual struggles as a company, some of the supply chain issues. How are you thinking coming out on the other side of this? Are your supply chain issues fully behind you at this moment?
Well, there's two sections on this, Caroline. During the pandemic, I'm so proud of Chobani and his people. We really, performed really well. We did not even have one day of disruption when it comes to day of loss and work. And we kept our people safe. We continue to operate. We continue to grow and continue to innovate. And post-pandemic, of course, there is, supply chain issues. We are powering through it, and I think it's going to be here for a while. And, I come back to this labor issue is being talked, and it comes down to this topic of, have people been getting paid well? Have people getting paid right? And I think this is also fills with a lot of opportunity to make it better when it comes to income inequality, when it comes to, wages. For so long, the minimum wage has been so low. We have championed this very early on, pushing for $15 an hour, average $19 an hour minimum wage in our plants in Idaho and in New York. But we have been behind, and people were having a hard time making end of the week or end of the month. So there's a lot of good opportunity here going through pandemic, post-pandemic, if we are in it, to make things better for families, make things better for working class, and make things better especially for frontline workers when it comes to wages, childcare, family benefits.
Hamdi, of course, I mean, you've long been talking about higher wages actually leading to better corporate success. You've been in front of the president today and the vice president, so too have companies like Patagonia that we already associate with having thought about these things ahead of the curve. Etsy was there, Microsoft. But what about the greater US corporate America? Do you think that they realize whether or not it's just the right thing to do or whether it's the thing that they have to do? Because the moment labor shortages are upon us, people are more thinking about how much they want to have the pros and cons of returning to work and what sort of money they want to see to go back. Does the rest of corporate America get it? Are we going to see a change?
I think so. I hope so. And all the businesses and leaders around the table today with Vice President, we don't want to be a specialty when it comes to these topics. We want to be an ordinary. You know, we don't want Chobani or Etsy or Patagonia or Microsoft or Airbnb to be, oh, it's, you know, such a great company. Every corporation needs to participate on this. The second topic is we all agree this is good for business. It's not just do good in the world, but this is really good for the business. I just mentioned during the pandemic, we did not have 1 day of loss of work. And our attendees attending schedules were even better before pandemic when it comes to sick leaves. So these are culture building, loyalty, and retention and productivity measures that comes through this kind of implementations. So this is perfect for business. But beyond that, our government can lead, our leadership can lead to implement and encourage at the same time.